we have some more news on this Thursday related to Season 4, one which will touch pretty much everyone because it has to do with the crafting system of Season 4, and the other one is yet again more changes to Dragonflight Season 4's Mythic Plus dungeons. However, some of these are currently pretty weird, and we hope this will be fixed before the release of the season. However, starting from what will, impact more players overall, which is the crafting system, we have checked a few days ago the video about the new Bullion System, the TLDR. Once a week you get to choose any of the weapons, offense or trinkets from the 3 different raids of Dragonflight, even some special rare rings or the cloak from Sarkaret even, that you can buy for yourself once a week. And this can go up to the equivalent of your current mythic raiding item level, which would be the same as 489, right? What is the change? The change is that with the crafting system right now in Season 4, if we open up Enchanting, we have the crests you have to craft, right? From Whelpling all the way up to Aspect crests. And you can see that the highest of the crests, the newly named upgrade track Awakened, the Awakened crest, goes all the way up to 522. So the current crests in this season, of course, go all the way up to 486. That's your crafted item, right? Which is 3 item levels lower than your default mythic raiding gear, and also 3 item levels higher than your default mythic plus reward, right? 483. So the crafting item is right in the middle. The change, of course, is that if we were to open the currently, awakened, the currently enhanced raid, which is Vault, in this week of the PTR, you can see that Razaget in Mythic awards you with items at 528. So, the crafted item goes to 522, and the rewards from the raids are 528, which is a 6 item level gap. Now, this gap is of course the equivalent of the gap between the currently default item you get from Mythic Plus at its highest reward key level and your Mythic raiding gear, which is 6. That is the change we are having in Season 4. Essentially, now the crafted item will be made weaker. It will be 3 item levels weaker compared to Season 3, the current season of Dragonflight. So now your crafted items in Season 4 are basically an end of dungeon, an end of Mythic Plus reward. So practically useless unless for some fringe spots, like for example the rings, to guarantee best in slot stats and also to guarantee a socket. That's still where they will be good for. But, to craft these crests in the first place, you need to collect Aspect crests. So, to collect Aspect crests, you have to likely complete Mythic Plus keys at the level where these max item level rewards can come from. So essentially it will be like working towards getting enough crests to craft a belt at 483 item level, and then doing Mythic Plus dungeons you just end up looting that 483 belt anyways. So the crafting system has definitely lost power. We can say it is being slightly offset, or rather we can say the reason for the weakening of the crafting system is because of this new Bullion/Dinar system. In the old Dinar system, it took you 6 weeks to get 3 items of your choice, being the weapon and 2 trinkets. Now, in Season 4, it will take you 3 weeks to get 3 items of your choice, which is twice as fast. So you have 3 more weeks to get 3 more items. Yes, there aren't really many other spots other than weapon and trinkets for you to get more items on this reward system. You have a few of these special rings from Vault, the double rings of Vault. In Aberus, you have the cloak from Sarkaret, and then in Amir Drasil, you have the necklace. Those are the only other, 4 slots, 2 rings, cloak, and necklace that you can use with this system. Now, there is also something slightly changing when it comes to the acquisition, or rather, perhaps we don't exactly know, because last time we checked, which was just a couple of days ago, the way for you to get this bullion was coming from Khazra as the weekly quest it usually offers, right over here. If you went to Khazra, it had the weekly, which also gave you a couple of bullions per week. Now this quest is gone. Now, at the moment, there is not a single quest that rewards you with bullions. Yes, there is the weekly, which gives you the weekly awakened activity, with the cash as a reward, but we doubt this is the one where you get the actual bullions. So we don't know where it's coming from. The good part about coming from Khazra was that it was a weekly activity that everyone could do. It was things like completing, time walking dungeons, do 10 world quests. So something that even someone who, for example, isn't a raider could have completed quite easily. But at the moment we have lost the knowledge of where these bullions are coming from. Either way, that's the first main change for Season 4 right now, the lowering of the value of your crafted gear in Season 4. As far as Mythic Plus goes, these are the undocumented changes found in the PTR so far. The first change, which is really still a positive change, is that Mystic Blast now cannot be interrupted, which is kind of bad if you think about it until you remember that Arcane Rain, the spam circles on the ground you have to dodge, has been removed. So essentially you're moving the stops you wanted to use for Arcane Rain over to Mystic Blast, and now you can save your interrupt that you were using for Mystic Blast for other things. One for the visually impaired are the better tornadoes on Croth, which are much more visible now compared to how they were back the first time we had to deal with Algetar Academy. Then you have another positive change, for DPS players, for AoE and Cleave DPS players, where the Umbral Skull crystals are now going to be spawning much closer to each other, which makes it much more easy to deal with. Also because, as you notice from the group, remember that now the crystals do AoE to the party when they are spawning, when they still have the Absorb Shield on them, the major crystal. You can see damage now is relevant in this phase as a healer. But at the very least now the crystals are much more easily AoE-able compared to before. Now, don't get too triggered about this, about reading that Withering now has tripled the damage and on top of that scales with key level. This is because, remember, Withering was the super annoying debuff that reduces your movement speed and your haste, stacking upwards of 20+%. This is now removed. Now, Withering only reduces your movement speed, no longer your haste, but in return, now it's also doing more damage. So, you're not getting slowed in casting, but you now actually have to heal the debuff if it goes off, or if it is not dispelled. Something that will definitely kill many players is now the Necrotic Breath frontals of the big trees in here are no longer interruptible. Now you just have to flat out dodge them, or you just expect them to be stopped. They don't get stopped, and a bunch of people are gonna get one-shot by the breaths. Not really that relevant, these packs were never that dangerous in Bracken and Hollow. Also Infusion as a minor/neutral change. Now it is currently transitioning at 60% HP instead of 50. Remember that now that Tsunami, the last boss, only phases once, so you only have one gauntlet to complete per fight. You no longer have to do it 7 times in high keys, which is still very good. The meme change at the moment is the change to Nakud Offensive, where the Desecrated Ohuna now casts a different version of Rotting Wind, which is a dot. It's a dot to the entire party over 10 seconds. It is also not dispellable. And to make it even worse now, the Beast Caller is now uninterruptible when he's attempting to summon his dogs. And what's worse is now the dogs are 5 instead of 3. So this has now basically made this guy unpullable in Nakud Offensive, and of course makes all of the pulls with the birds even more painful because there is 3 of them and you have to really pay attention to stopping the Rotting Wind cast, as they previously were just doing a reasonably harmless cone of damage that you could simply move out of. Now you have to spend interrupts, which is quite more costly than having to sidestep mechanics. Then we have more, I hope it was a mistake kind of change, which are the Lost Dwarves changes. The Fiery Surge damage plus the Burning Pitch on the ground are scaling with item level. And this is the damage that it's going to do in a +15 key, which is the equivalent of a +25 right now. The result is extremely high damage because of the scaling with the key. And even worse, as a pain for a healer, this is while you have to move, because you have swirlies chasing you. So now you are a healer attempting to heal while also having to move, which is not really the type of cool playstyle healers want to go for. So it's a mixed bag of changes. This is likely possibly simply an oversight which will be fixed soon, but definitely the changes to Nakud Offensive are both absolutely terrible. You have some acceptable changes with Withering now doing way more damage at the cost or at the benefit of no longer reducing haste. The heal check added to Azure Vaults is annoying, but at the very least now you can deal with the crystals spawning much closer to each other. Good QOL on the tornadoes being visible on Croth, and rather neutral change to the swap on which ability you have to interrupt and stop on the trash pools of Algetar Academy. So these are, so far, the new set of changes to Season 4, both from the crafting perspective being nerfed by 3 item levels, as well as further, I guess, tiny tuning to the Season 4 Mythic Plus dungeons. It's always worth to remember and remind everyone, because complaining is always good thing to do, that it will still be better to have an affix for Mythic Plus, to have a fated season with something cool that changes the feel and the experience of the dungeons, rather than having to revisit the exact same dungeons you have revisited 6 months or a year ago, which is not, unfortunately, what we are going to be getting, but it's always worth hoping until the last minute, when we have essentially no more chance to expect anything different. But until Season 4 is not out officially, we can still dream. So, for now, on this Thursday, these were the updates on the state of Season 4 on the PTR. We're starting, as usual, our farewells by thanking the Patreon supporters for the contribution to the growth of the channel, which, as usual, you can still give for free by liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching, see you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, today I cut and ate an apple all by myself. I'm proud.